Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas Special. We have star-studded guests, including my beautiful wife, Faith, and even my precious daughter, Violet Silveus.
Welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas Special, starring Michael Sweet from Stryper, John Schneider, who plays Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard, Scott Schwartz, who plays Flick from A Christmas Story, Zak Nilsson, Harry Nilsson's son, and Alexander Folk from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and a special musical performance from Out of the Dust.
So, Violet, who is Daddy's favorite band of all time? Besides the Beatles, who is my favorite band of all time?
Probably have to say Stryper.
And yeah, that is Daddy's favorite band, Stryper. Paul McCartney was going to be on my Christmas special, but, you know, he was too busy, being British, so he couldn't be on the show. Michael Sweet, who's a good friend of the show, and Daddy loves a whole lot, is going to join us for our Christmas special. Michael Sweet, welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas Special.
Hey, good to be here.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, man. Yeah, it's that time of year again, and it's going to be a great Christmas, and we're excited. We got a little snow on the ground out there, and it's starting to feel like Christmas for sure.
Now, what are some fond memories of the Sweet family Christmas growing up as a child in California?
Oh, man. Well, my parents always made Christmas, you know, they worked hard, and we didn't have a lot. I wouldn't say that we were poor, but we didn't have a lot of money, and they always worked hard to make our every Christmas special. Every Christmas, there's fond memories. You know, I just remember as a kid being really excited, obviously with Rob and Lise, to go down and open the presents and spend the day. But it wasn't so much about opening presents. We always used to have get-togethers, you know, big family get-togethers. You know, we'd go to our Nana's house, you know, and there'd be 20 people, 25 people. It wasn't always just, 4 people or 6 people or 8 people. It was always this big, extravagant thing with lots of food and music, and everybody would eat, and then the guitars would come out because my family's very musical. Everybody played or sang, and once the guitars came out, forget it. It was just a big jam session. So I have fond memories of that, too, of always having these jam sessions every year. And it was really cool.
As a child, with such a musical family and so much talent in your family musically, around Christmas time, those Christmas carols, those old songs, they have such emotional feeling to it, brings out emotions. As a child, do you remember, one of those Christmas carols you guys used to sing is your favorite of all time?
Well, my favorite Christmas song, it has to be "O Holy Night," and it just, to me, it's an anointed song. Every time I hear it, it moves me in a really special, unique way. And I even did I made a recording of it and recorded that song and my own little spin on it. But I love that song. It's got the goosebump factor, it just moves me. I love the chord changes. It's very different, very unique, and it's such a powerful song.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And when that line, the fall on your knees, I tear up.
Yeah, it's just powerful stuff, man. And as I said, it's anointed. It really is. The music is, the melody is, the lyrics are. It's just, it moves you when you hear it. If that song doesn't move you, then something's wrong, because that is just such a beautiful song.
No, I get it and 100% agree. Now, you guys, when Stryper, you guys recorded Winter Wonderland. I think was that to go along with the single Reason for the Season? What's the backstory on that?
Yeah, we were in the studio, recorded Reason for the Season, and we tracked Winter Wonderland as well. And it was just kind of our own little Christmas single, that we wanted to release. We've never done a full-length Christmas album. Hopefully someday we will. But, that's a classic, man. Reason for the Season and Winter Wonderland, both of those songs. And we break it out every now and then. We've played Reason for the Season a few times. We've played Winter Wonderland even more. Around Christmas time, if we're out playing, we'll do Winter Wonderland, and people love it. They really do.
Well, I've got the 12-inch vinyl single of that.
Wow. Yeah, it's a cool take. It's a cool take on that. I mean, I think that song lends itself perfectly to the double bass. It was calling for that, and it was so perfect. And I love that version of it. it. They take our name off it or put it on it. It doesn't matter that it's us. I just love that version.
No, I love it too, and every Christmas I break it out with my other Christmas albums or Christmas vinyl. Now, I do a segment on my show, Michael. It's called One Question with Violet. I've got a beautiful little blonde-haired, blue-eyed 9-year-old little girl who loves to ask my guests one question. Is that cool?
Okay.
All right, here she is.
Our family Christmas Eve tradition is to watch Emma Otter's Jug Band Christmas. What is your Christmas Eve tradition?
I love that. Yeah, every family has a tradition. Hi, Violet. How are you, by the way?
I'm good.
We have quite a few traditions, and whether it's food, that old green Jell-O lime stuff that I don't personally like, but my wife loves and my daughter loves. That gets made every year. And then another tradition is to watch. It's not a particular movie, but we watch lots of Christmas movies. Just to sit down and watch many, starting pretty much now all the way up until after Christmas, and take in that spirit, because a lot of those old Christmas movies, there's a certain spirit about them where they really move you. They make you feel good. It gives you the message of Christmas in a perfect way and reminds you of what Christmas is all about. So we do the same thing. I don't think it's one particular movie, but I love the fact that every family has Christmas traditions that they do, and I think it's fantastic. And I would say one of them was our dog. We would always wrap up presents for our dog, even things that we already had around the house, just so we could watch him open the presents.
Well, you know what's funny, Michael, is that just yesterday, my daughter, Violet, asked me, she goes, "Hey, Dad, do people who have pets, have dogs, do they give them presents on Christmas?" Our dog has gone to doggy heaven, but his name was Caleb. We used to wrap up presents for him all the time just to watch him, and we'd video. And I tell you, that was the biggest kick every Christmas. We would laugh and laugh and laugh, and he would sit in anticipation of doing that every year. And it was so funny. And sometimes we'd come home and catch him opening up a present early, or tearing it open, and it was just the funniest thing. Michael, what do you want Santa to bring you for Christmas this year?
Oh, man. Oh, boy. What do I want Santa to bring me for Christmas? How about a smaller belly? What do I want for real for Santa to bring me? I know this is a cliche answer, but I've got everything that I want. I really do. There's nothing that I can think of that I want or need. I've got my health. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a beautiful family. I get to do what I love. Life is good. So I'm very, very happy at the moment, and there's not really anything. I'm trying to think as I'm talking. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I want Santa to bring me, and maybe a new Gibson Flying V custom black guitar. There you go.
Send your letter to Santa. I'm sure you've been a good boy this year, and you'll get one. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna ask you, do you want to know what I want for Christmas this year?
Yeah, what do you want for Christmas?
Well, here's the thing. I got a Christmas list. On the very top, I know that currently that you are writing and getting ready to record a new Stryper album. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So all I want for Christmas is to somehow you to slip into one of those songs on that new album a reference to me. Like you could say, it could be anything. Like, I woke up this morning, I was on the Chad Silveus show. Or you could say, my buddy Chad Silveus likes fruit. I don't care what it is. Something.
Well, that might be tricky, but you never know. We'll see how that works out. But that could be kind of difficult.
I could make it easier on you if you just say the word Chad, or we could have a code word like every time you say, if you pick a word like rock. Like when you say the word rock, I'll know that's a nod to me.
There you go. Now that's easy. That's done.
All right, well, I'll tell all my friends that Santa's bringing me what I want this year. I can't wait to hear the new album.
I can't wait to hear it either, man. It's turning out really great. It's exciting. And it's coming, man. We start work on it. Guys come out here January 6th. we load in on, I think, the 17th or the 18th, start tracking on the 18th or the 19th. And, before we know it, that's going to be here. And then we'll spend 2 weeks in the studio, and I'll be listening to the basic tracks, and it's going to be here as quickly as I can snap my fingers. And it's just crazy to me that here we are working on another Stryper album. Amazing.
Stryper's on fire. Your solo crew's on fire. I know that you have a solo album out right now. Would make a great Christmas gift. It's called 10. That's something people can get and put underneath the tree or in a stocking. I do have one last Christmas question for you, Michael Sweet. What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, Christmas is one of those times a year, sadly, that comes once a year. And it seems like people are reminded about loved ones, and they're reminded about being nicer and being better, and the spirit and meaning of Christmas, obviously, which is, Christ came and to save the world, was born as a child. And the Savior is here. And, we're reminded of all that stuff at Christmas. But, it would be amazing if that was year round. People have written songs about that. But is it applied? Unfortunately, no. It seems like after we get through the holidays, we get right back to same old. And there's some good in that, and there's some bad in that. But it would be nice to live Christmas every day, And to me, Christmas to me is just about the spirit of giving, about the spirit of love, helping your brother, helping your sister, being there for one another, And it shouldn't come, sadly, just once a year. It should be year round.
Well, Michael Sweet, I hope that you and your family have a beautiful Christmas together. And I know I've always been a Stryper fan since I first heard you back in the Soldiers Under Command day, and I know you guys bring me lots of gifts and other people too just by your music. So we appreciate it, and once again, have a Merry Christmas.
All right, my friend. You too. God bless you, man. You guys take care, and I look forward to next time.
Violet Noel, what do you want for Christmas this year? How about one thing? What's on the top of your Christmas list this year?
To be honest, probably a reborn.
A reborn? Those are those really creepy, lifelike dolls, right?
Yes.
That will give you nightmares.
They won't give me nightmares.
They're giving me nightmares, and I'm a grown man, so I can't imagine what they're going to do to you.
Well, Mom says they're creepy too, but I don't think they're creepy.
All right, well, maybe Santa will terrify you this year with a preborn. Also joining me on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special is John Schneider, who's the actor who plays Bo Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard. John Schneider, welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special.
Hey, thanks, Chad. Merry Christmas. Hope you're doing well.
Merry Christmas to you. Now, Christmas is a magical holiday for adults as well as children, but there's something very special about, a child and Christmas. And I was wondering, when you were a child and you got that Christmas gift on Christmas morning, what was your favorite gift you ever got as a child?
Wow, you're taking me back. My favorite gift was a reel-to-reel tape recorder that my mother got for me by S&H green stamps, saving green stamps. And when I say reel-to-reel, I mean there were two little circles going in opposition on a tape recorder that was about the size of a shoebox. And I used to record my favorite television shows with it. I used to record I snuck it into the movies once and recorded Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and got caught. But I loved it. So that was when I first fell in love with the recorded word and recorded sounds and recorded stories. Wow.
In today's day and age now, kids don't realize how difficult it was back for us to record things. Now it's just like, on their phone they can record something.
Oh, it's on, yeah. I mean, I feel like Dick Tracy because I can do what I can do on my phone. It just blows me away that we have all this technology in our pocket. Truly more technology than put a man on the moon.
I've heard that. The thing about the reel-to-reel, obviously you had a really small one, but the bigger they get, just that's beautiful sound though. The sound quality that not even digital can capture on the big ones.
Oh no, they don't get it. No, gosh, what did I have? I had I think it was just a realistic, but it was great. Even the little ones had a great sound to them. And later on I had a Tascam that was a 4-track, which is about what the Beatles cut on, except that was a big a big machine, but they just cut on 4-track and bounced tracks back and forth. So I've always had a love for recorded sound, but that is where it started. It started with a Christmas gift that came my way because my mom knew I wanted a tape recorder and my grandmother collected green stamps. There was no Amazon. You couldn't order it on your phone and have it on your doorstep tomorrow. So I so appreciated that gift, and I remembered. I can see myself opening the box right now and just being delighted, because in those days you got a gift, you got a Christmas gift, you got some stocking stuffers, but you would get that one thing, hopefully, that you wanted really badly, like a bicycle, a record player, a tape recorder. And that year I got my tape recorder, and I can still feel it to this day.
What about your fondest Christmas memory?
I think my fondest Christmas memory is kind of silly. I remember my dad. My parents were divorced, so I wasn't in the house with them at the same time. They got divorced when I was 2. But I do remember that my father and stepmother had a cat, and the cat was infatuated with the Christmas ornaments, and it would swat them, and eventually it would take a run at the Christmas tree and jump on it and knock it over. It was very funny, unless you were the guy that paid for all the Christmas ornaments. Now remember, we're talking about 1968, maybe 1969. So my dad looked at this tree on the floor, and he said, "I'll fix you." And he went, he got some wire. My dad was great at, he was kind of a MacGyver long before MacGyver was MacGyver. And he took the tree and he attached it to the ceiling. So he hung the tree from the ceiling by a piece of wire, baling wire, and then dared the cat to knock it over again. And every year from that point on, Dad had the Christmas tree suspended from the ceiling rather than sitting on something on the floor. So my great memory is Dad figuring out how to outsmart a 13-pound cat. And I'm still remembering it, and I can still see that in my mind's eye all these years later.
You might be able to, make some cash if you make a YouTube tutorial with your father's old trick for keeping the tree up from protected from a cat.
Yeah, how to keep the tree up. Well, that's a good idea. I think I'll do it. I'll do that this Christmas. Good idea, Chad.
What about this? As a man, you've raised, some children. What is a Christmas tradition, whether it be from your childhood or be as a father yourself or an adult, a husband? What is a Christmas tradition that you still hold dear every year?
My kids are all big and gone and have lives of their own now. But I'll tell you, when they were little, we did the wonderful thing of all keeping our pajamas on and kind of not attacking, but running toward the tree, down the stairs toward the tree on Christmas morning, all in our pajamas. And then we'd hand out one gift, before the coffee, one gift, and the kids got to pick it. And I always loved that. I love the notion of everybody comfortable, still in their jammies with their fancy, funny socks on. I still like funny socks. I think I'm wearing striped socks right now. Yep. And it made us feel. It made us all feel like we were a family, obviously, but it made us feel like we were all just a little bit silly and didn't take ourselves all that seriously. And I hope I still hold true to that.
Well, Christmas is a fun time, and it's a fun time for children. As a father, I really enjoy get that pleasure of making Christmas fun for my kids, and obviously you did too. Now, as a father and husband, there's one gift that we get every year. Do you know what gift I'm talking about?
What is that gift, Chad?
Oh, I'll tell you. This is from my experience. Maybe you've had a different experience, but underwear, right? Doesn't every dad and father get underwear for Christmas?
Well, you need them. You need those, yeah, because you can only turn them inside out so many times. Yeah, you need that. You need socks. In the old days, you used to need a tie, but you do need underwear. So boxers or briefs, and I'm a boxer guy.
That was my question. I was going to say, what are you going to ask Santa for, boxers or briefs?
I knew it. I knew that. And I'll wear Christmas ones. If they've got Christmas trees or Santa hats on them, I'll wear those. It's kind of like same thing with your socks, right? Yeah, I don't know if you're a sock guy, but I like to wear funny socks. And I do like unusual if they made Dukes of Hazzard or Smallville underwear, I would wear them. They used to make Dukes of Hazzard underwear. I don't think they make those anymore.
Right, the what do they call those? The
Underoos. They made underoos.
Yeah, underoos.
Yep, they did. I didn't wear those because those, I was already too old to wear those. But if they made, if Hanes made some Dukes underwear, some Rebel Flag underwear, by golly, I'd wear those things.
Well, the sky's the limit. Who knows what the future holds?
Well, see, I put it out there. It's on my wish list, right? I am registered at Fruit of the Loom in case anybody wants to send a gift.
Well, you're giving your fans all sorts of ideas. You'll probably get some strange things in the mail now.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah.
You have a Christmas album out. What is your favorite Christmas carol? I love the old classic ones. What's your favorite?
Oh, the old classic ones? I love those. But I've got some songs on the new one, like Merry Christmas, Baby. I love that. We did a song that, as far as I know, only Louis Armstrong had done before. And it's called, I'm sure you haven't heard of it unless you've heard my Merry Christmas Baby CD, but it's called Is That You, Santa Claus? And it's a song that's a guy's inside preparing for Christmas, and he hears something outside the house, and he's scared, and he's saying, Is that you, Santa Claus? And that's my new favorite. Now, before that, I've always loved Silver Bells, children laughing, people passing, greeting smile after smile. I always loved that song. Silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. Because it reminds me of all those great movies we used to watch, Miracle on 34th Street, Meet John Doe, It's a Wonderful Life. It seemed like many of those took place in more of a city atmosphere, which I think is where everybody needs Christmas. But I think folks in the cities need just a little bit more Christmas, so they'll pay more attention to one another and maybe sit down and actually have a conversation.
So you prefer a country Christmas, I take?
Well, I prefer a country Christmas. I like to be outside. I like to cut wood. I like to decorate trees that are still planted in the ground. And that's what we do at the studio. That's what we do where Alicia and I live in Louisiana. And I think it's great. I like the notion. We first started dating each other almost 5 years ago, and I didn't have a tree, so she gave me a tree, and it was a live tree, and we planted it. And now this thing, you can't quite climb it yet, but in another year or two, you'll be able to climb up this thing. And I love watching that. I like watching that happen.
It reminds me of, my grandfather always decorated the outside trees. He had lots of big pines he had acreage, and it was just a great memory for me as well. And I love the snow around Christmas, but unfortunately, I don't like snow any other time. I live in Arizona now to get away from the snow.
Yeah, well, you're away from it. We get some in Louisiana, not a whole lot, but the last couple of years we've had a little snow on the ground, but I like it, but I don't really want to go back to my childhood days of New York and shoveling the driveway. That's my least. For somebody's got to do it, but that was my least favorite part of the holidays, especially when we got a big snowstorm. Good news is it's a snow day; you don't have to go to school. Bad news is you got to go shovel the driveway.
That's how it worked for us who lived up north. But you and I both flew south, so I think that was smart on our part.
Yep, sure did.
Now you're kind of like Santa Claus this year. You have so many things that are on my Christmas list, and so many things could be on anybody's Christmas list. Obviously, Christmas Cars is out. Why is Christmas Cars your new movie? Which last time we talked, I told you, just by watching the trailer, it just blew me away. I couldn't wait to see it. But what makes Christmas Cars the ideal Christmas movie?
Christmas Cars is, it seems to be hitting a real note with folks who understand the need for community. In Christmas Cars, I play Uncle Denver, and I play a guy that, if it weren't for my family and friends, and for their willingness to work hard right alongside me, my hopes and dreams would be shattered. So it's very much like a Frank Capra film in that regard. And I think we need more of that. And it was a test. I wanted to see if people really felt that way, if people really could get in touch with those kinds of feelings again. And the sales on Christmas Cars have been great. The comments on Christmas Cars have been great. We've been asked to do even more screenings, like at movie theaters. It's not going to come out in movie theaters because we do address the rebel flag issue head on. But many theaters have said, hey, look, why don't we just let's do a night of Christmas cars. We've done it in Texas. We've done it in Virginia. We did it in Tennessee. And I think we're going to be doing it more this year. And I'm quite sure we're going to be doing it a lot next year. It's just the kind of movie that has been missing. The good guys are good but flawed. The bad guys are bad, but ultimately they have a conscience. And that's kind of like, I hope, what life is.
Christmas Cars is on my Christmas list, but I'm going to have to ask Santa to bring it to me early because I want to see it before Christmas.
Well, you can download it. You can download it, too. You can go to our website. We have a digital on-demand website called Cineflix. Cineflix, D-O-D. CINEFLIXDOD.com. So you could see that. Or, because we're buddies, I could send you a link, or because we're buddies, you could go to johnschneiderstudios.com and order one, and it'll be there before you know it.
Well, I'll do that. Let me ask Mrs. Claus if she cares if I get the present early, but she shouldn't because she loves watching Christmas movies with me.
Okay, yes. Ask Mrs. Claus. Yeah, I think hopefully she'll agree, because that'd be great, because then you can tell all your elf friends about how much you enjoyed Christmas Cars.
I already love it from watching the trailer. I can't wait to see it, so I'm going to do that right away. Help me get in the Christmas spirit. Seriously, you're like Santa Claus this year. You've got a new product out that's a CBD product.
Absolutely.
Before you talk about this, I want to talk about this. I want to tell you my CBD story.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. About a year and a half ago, I fell and severely fractured my hip. It was a mangled, gnarly mess.
Wow.
I had to have emergency surgery. I've got more metal in me from the hip down to my kneecap than I think Terminator had.
Oh.
And let me tell you, when I got home from the hospital, they tried to send me home with these extremely powerful synthetic opioid drugs, and I refused. I said, I'm not going to take any of it, okay?
Good for you.
And they told me I was crazy because it was a gnarly mess, right?
Right.
So I came home, and with the goal of not using any drugs for the pain. And let me tell you, a fractured hip is very painful. And my son had bought me some CBD oil. It's the first thing I tried the second I got home from the hospital. And that night, I had pain relief that was so substantial, I slept through the night, and I used CBD oil and other herbs the whole time and never took one pain medication in my recovery from my fractured hip. So anyway, that's my CBD story. So CBD works. I just wanted to say that before you got into your product specifically.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. Well, we were introduced to it when my lovely bride, we were not married yet, not quite married yet, but we got some really awful news from a doctor, unexpected awful news from a doctor. And the very first thing we did, because we were waiting for medication, was a friend of ours happened to have had I don't know if it was quite as miraculous a cure as your hip fracture was, but had an amazing experience with CBD oil as far as their immune system goes. And he said, look, why don't you, try this? So the very first thing we did in our battling of cancer was take CBD oil. And this was just shy of 6 months ago. Now, we did do the medicine. We did do a lot of things. We did. She went on a keto for cancer diet. She also went. We have an infrared sauna at home that we got because we heard cancer does not like any temperature over 100 and I think it was 105 degrees. Problem is, if you have a fever of over 105 degrees, you're probably going to die. But in a infrared sauna, it's a whole different story. So we did that and continued to do the CBD oil. She had it everywhere. And we just had the third PET scan in 6 months. We're now down to a little area of question about the size of a pea. And it's gone from everywhere else. My theory on that, and I'm not a doctor, but my theory on that is that what CBD oil does is that it how can I put this? It restructures or repairs your body's ability to work properly. It kind of grounds your systems, I believe. So it makes it so your bones can heal. I mean, she had not only cancer in her breast, but she had cancer all over her bones. It was awful. And now it is 99.9% gone. And I attribute the way all of the stuff that we did, the reason it worked so well is, I believe, because her systems were put in check. Her systems were put back into a state of repair. Her systems were put back into the position where they could readily accept the heat therapy, readily accept the dietary therapy, and readily accept the medication, so that this nothing short of miraculous cure could happen in less than 6 months. The foundation was CBD oil. Now, I'm trying to research this. I don't know if this is true. Maybe you can research this. My feeling is that in biblical times, you read in the Bible all the time about people being anointed with oil. You know, a lot of oil was used in biblical times. Now, I know olive oil was prevalent in biblical times, but is it possible that hemp oil was used in biblical times? I don't know. I would love to know the answer to that question. If so, then the oil that folks were being anointed with may very well have been hemp oil, also known as CBD oil.
No, I'm a big Bible reader. I'm a big Bible believer, and I'm also in a former life a traditional naturopath and herbalist. And I think a lot about herbs, including hemp. And I've heard that theory before, that certain people think that hemp was used in biblical times, and that there's certain plants described in the Bible that could have been hemp. But I will tell you that God is good, and that's an amazing story. And God created herbs, including hemp, for our healing, and they do amazing things. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in many, many other people's lives that I've worked with and helped. And just hearing your story, it's amazing. Now, what's the product called, and where can you get it?
Well, it's called, I try to market. It's called, ready? Yeehaw. It's called Yeehaw sauce. I've been learning about marketing, and it seems to me that the further I get away from a Dukes reference, the harder it is to get people's attention. So I've stopped fighting, and I've just decided. And here's our slogan: everybody needs a little yeehaw every now and then.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant marketing.
And it's just true. And this would not have happened. I like to think of myself as one of the kings of turning chicken crap into chicken salad. Making lemonade out of lemons you've been given. And this would not have come about if it weren't for that awful, awful morning when we were told by a person in a white coat that the woman I love had stage 4 breast cancer. So I wish I had never heard that. However, I do believe that our experience, like your experience, can and will and is being used to comfort people who are going through a similar experience. And I want them to know that it works. It works. So get some of my stuff, get some of, who knows, it doesn't, just get some of it. I'm not saying mine is any better or worse than anybody else's, but I'm here to tell you I've seen it work. And I am a believer in the natural properties of hemp. And I am quite, obviously you are too, and I think anyone who tries it will know that something is up immediately. I mean immediately. And like I said, I think it's the very basis of what hemp oil is, getting in touch with the very basis of what we are, and shaking hands and saying, hey man, where you been? Because sickness is not just getting something. Sickness, especially cancer, is a sickness where systems that are in place by God to continually keep your cancer in check, for some reason are not working anymore. They have become a faulty system. So there's two schools of thought: fight the cancer, kill the cancer, or repair the system that is supposed to keep it in check. I prefer that, especially now.
Well, you got to fix the cause. You got to address the cause, and that's what you guys are doing, and that's amazing.
Yeah, in planting, in agriculture, there you have two things. You've got the plant and you've got the soil, and it's okay to treat the plant and the soil. I don't think you should. If you just treat the soil, the plant may die. If you just treat the plant most likely will die. I mean, how many times have you heard of people talking about they don't know if their loved one died of cancer or for the treatment?
I've seen it.
Yeah. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that anymore. And I truly believe that a great foundation to not see that anymore is CBD oil.
Now, can they get this on your website, or where do they purchase it at?
Yeah. Yep, you can do that, or go just look up Yeehaw Sauce. But my website has everything we do. JohnSchneiderStudios.com. You can get Christmas cards, you can get My Life, My Way, the book or music, or you can get the CBD oil. And I tell you what's amazing is we first announced it back about a month ago, and all of a sudden I started getting all these testimonies on my Facebook page of people who had successfully used it and who have been successfully using it for quite some time. And I think it's just great. I think it's a wonderful thing. It is not liquid pot, so people out there are saying, "Oh, Mike Schneider is now part of the whole weed team." No, that's not what this is. So do a little research before you make a snap judgment. And if you are in need of some healing, consider it, and consider it very seriously.
Well, and you don't have to wait till Christmas to order it. You can get it anytime. If you need it, get it now.
No, you can get it anytime. Get it right now. Get it right now. It's on my Facebook page. Just go to John Schneider Facebook, my Facebook page. You'll see it in the feed somewhere. If you can't find it, and there's some fun stuff in there too. If you can't find it, go to JohnSchneiderStudios.com and you can find it on the shelf at the store.
I have two important questions that I want to get to, but before I get to those two last questions, I want to ask you about your autobiography. And specifically, I had heard that your autobiography just came out. You can tell me more about it, but I heard that you have something in there about you living with Johnny Cash, which is interesting to me.
Well, yeah. The book is called My Life, My Way. I wrote it. I started writing it about a year ago, maybe a little longer than a year ago, on my phone. And it was originally going to be called John Schneider Naked. And I was going to tell people there's going to be here's what Hollywood is like. And I think at that point maybe I'd spent a little bit too much time with Kid Rock, and I was going to the wonderfully fun, flamboyant dark side. But I was writing with two wonderful folks who were editing as we were going, Jamie Blaine, and a woman with a fantastic name. Believe it or not, her real name is River Jordan. So we started talking about, they were reading my notes and things, and they said, there's really two books here. There's the naked book, yes, but there's also the how you audition for Johnny Cash. I'm sorry, how you audition for Dukes by bringing the beer in. How you climbed over a fence to be in Smokey and the Bandit. How you lived with Johnny Cash. So we wrote My Life, My Way. And My Life, My Way includes about year and a half of the time that I spent living with great guy, dear friend, who I met when we did a movie called Stagecoach. And we met on the set of Stagecoach, became instant, really, I can honestly say we were best friends for a period of time. And I loved every minute of it. Johnny Cash was a delightfully inspiring and goofy, which is probably not a word you hear a lot associated with a man in black, but inspiring and goofy man who was my best friend. You get the book at Amazon if you want, or you can go to John Schneider Studios again, JohnSchneiderStudios.com. It's called My Life, My Way. And stories about Dukes, the stories about Smallville, stories about Smokey and the Bandit and Johnny Cash, and it's all in there. And I like to think, I've heard from a lot of people, that the one takeaway from that book is that you can do it. Whatever it is that you have been designed to do, and I believe we've all been designed to do something. And people like me, I've been doing it ever since I was about 8 years old. A lot of people have been talked out of their design by friends, enemies, and loved ones who don't want them to be disappointed by failure. Well, failure is a wonderful teacher, and it helps you get up off the ground dust yourself off, and try it all over again. That's what the book is about, ultimately.
I'm telling you, you're filling out my Christmas list, John. I don't.
Well, you got to put Christmas cards in.
My wife's gonna kill me. She's like, "Quit asking for stuff." No, that's. It sounds like an awesome book, man. I can't wait to read the stories because you're such an interesting guy, and you have such interesting, obviously, things about you that a lot of us don't even know about, and it's even more interesting than I could imagine. So, I'm gonna get the book. I can't wait to read it.
You learn a lot in there, and it's fun. It's a fun ride. And I do in the beginning. I say, "Hey, hang on, because this is a fun ride." And it's been a great time. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been in theater since 1968. Since I got my reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I've been through a lot of different times in television. I mean, I was at the top of the game when there were only 3 networks, 3 channels. Imagine that, and you had to wait for something to come on television. You couldn't DVR it. You couldn't Netflix it. You couldn't do anything except watch it when it came on, and.
There was no instant gratification.
None. There was a lot of anticipation, and I miss anticipation.
Me too.
I think a lot of people today don't even know what that is. I want it now, and they get it. I mean, I marvel. If I was talking to somebody earlier today, they said, "John, I ordered your book 2 days ago, and I got it yesterday from Amazon." I don't even know how that's possible, but they do it. They do it. So order something from the store. Get your Christmas cards. Get your My Life, My Way. Get your CBD oil.
Well, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God has made so many things in nature that can help us heal. And the CBD is, something that is just amazing. They're finding more and more things about that it does and can do. And we both have stories of that, and there's many more that came from. So
there's no way in the world it's going to hurt you. So give it a shot. If you need it, give it a shot. If you've got something that you are afraid of, like a fractured hip, my gosh, I can't imagine how much that hurt. Go for it. You don't have anything to lose. You have everything to gain.
They can go on your website. They can find that along with Christmas cards and your Christmas album, I assume. There's 2 questions I want to get to. One, I am going to ask, but one, my beautiful little 9-year-old daughter, Violet, would like to ask. One question with Violet. Is that cool?
That's very cool.
Give me 10 seconds. I'll go get her.
Okay.
All right, John, it's a very Merry Christmas, one question with Violet.
Okay. Hey, Miss Violet, what is your question?
Was there ever a Dukes of Hazzard Christmas episode?
Yes, Miss Violet, there was. I believe it was called, might have been Too Many Generals, or we had a Christmas episode where Bo, Luke, Daisy, Uncle Jesse, and Cooter all dressed up like Santa Claus so that we could confuse the bad guys because we had the Christmas gifts in one of the General Lees. We even had, I think, 3 General Lees in that episode because we wanted to make sure that the kids at the orphanage in Hazzard got their Christmas presents in time for Christmas.
Well, that made me think of another question, John.
What's that?
Do you have a Christmas-type memory from being on set with your fellow Dukes of Hazzard co-stars? Did you guys used to have Christmas parties, or was there a Christmas? Did you guys work around Christmas time?
Yeah, we had Christmas parties. We had Christmas parties on the set of Dukes. Yep, we sure did. In fact, the very last episode we did was called Opening Night at the Boar's Nest, and we shot it before and after Christmas, and I wrote it and directed it. So we had a Christmas party in the Boar's Nest because that was the last set we filmed in before the Christmas holiday. And we would get together in there. I mean, the whole cast, the whole crew, everybody would be in there. And for that day, that evening, the Boar's Nest was not just a set in a Hollywood soundstage. It was a real place, real people, real eggnog, and real love.
Wow. If I could have been a fly on the wall, to witness that.
Yes.
This is my last question. It's an important question. John Schneider, what does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas means fellowship. Christmas means the birth of baby Jesus. Christmas means that we have an opportunity to prepare to start anew on New Year's. And I always want to prepare to be a better friend, a better neighbor, better husband, better dad, better person come the new year. All things for me are made anew on Christmas morning.
John Schneider, thank you so much for coming on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special. You're an awesome guy. I love talking to you. Welcome back anytime.
You're welcome. Love talking with you too. Let me know what you think of the book and the movie. I sure would love to hear your opinion.
I will let you know. And Merry Christmas to you and your wife and your entire family.
Thank you, my friend. You say goodnight to the little Violet, and say goodnight to your wife for me. Thank you, buddy. Merry Christmas.
What do you think Daddy wants this year for Christmas, Violet?
A new razor.
A new razor. So you're telling the man who never shaves his beard that you think that I want a new razor? I don't even shave.
He does too.
I do not.
Yes, you do.
I shave my head, not my beard. Not with a razor.
Yeah,
I don't. No, I
Use
don't.
your beard trimmer.
Oh, that's not a razor.
Actually, do the weed whacker.
They get me a weed whacker for Christmas, but I don't want a razor. All right? Do you understand? No razors for Daddy this year. Just weed whackers and beard trimmer. Violet Noel, a good friend of the show, Scott Schwartz, who is Flick from A Christmas Story, celebrates Hanukkah. Scott can tell us more about his Hanukkah traditions. Does that sound like fun?
Yes.
Well, first of all, Scott Schwartz, happy holidays.
Same to you.
What is your favorite Hanukkah memory from your childhood?
Wow. Boy. Honestly, and I'm not kidding with you, I might have one. I got a Harlem Globetrotters pinball machine, which of course naturally I bought through the fact that my parents bought the thing with my money. But I bought that I got that like 1979 or 19. Yeah, I think around 79 or 80, somewhere in there. It was 11 or 12 when I got that Harlem Globetrotters pinball machine. And we had a house in New Jersey, and we had it in our basement, and I must have played it, who even knows, tens of thousands of hours.
You know, when I was a child, I always wanted a pinball machine. And, actually, my dad had his own pinball machine, but I never got a chance to mess with it much. So I can't, that's like one of those things, like, actually, like the toy, the movie You're in the Toy. Like, this kid got all this stuff. It's something you'd have in, like, the toy. Because the pinball machines weren't cheap back then, I assume.
No, but they weren't crazy like they are now either. I want to say it was like $1,400, $1,500. I guess you could say for that time it was a lot, but considering, what they are now, it's like I've been trying to locate a T2 machine, the pinball machine. I just love that game. Even though I really don't have a lot of room in my house, I'd still find room for it. But they're like $5-6 grand. It's just like, nah, it's all right, so. I have one of those tabletop video machines in my kitchen. On my kitchen table, of course. And it's actually pretty cool. It's a pretty fun machine.
Now, it's kind of a different situation because now kids are asking for downloadable content for their video game system as opposed to some form of like physical, artistic achievement like a pinball machine.
Yeah, we live in a different world, man. Chad, we just live in a different world. I used to go to Manhattan a lot when I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to Manhattan for school for a couple of years and whatever. I love pinball. I actually got a certificate that I was considered a pinball wizard because I that's how good I was way back when. But you were out and about, and so you had to have social skills to talk to people. Now they want to sit in their living rooms and play a video game on their 70-inch television against people that are 10 miles away or thousands of miles away. But that doesn't give them any social skills, but this is where technology has taken us. I don't think it's beneficial. The internet has been a wonderful tool. Here we are, we're talking over the internet today. That's a wonderful tool. At the same time, there are loads of things that are just not good about it. We don't need to know what everybody thinks every second of every day. Again, just my opinion.
No, I agree. The technology is such a double-edged sword. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. I'll be honest with you. Like, this is how much I think about it. Like, I don't even use a cell phone. I know that's like unheard of these days. I've not had a cell phone in almost 8 years. I haven't talked on one. I don't own one. And I'll tell you right now, it's freeing. It's like not being a slave anymore.
I always had a cell phone. I do simple things on it. I will talk, I will text, and I get email. I will not put any kind of social media on my cell phone. That will never happen. You know, if somebody wants to talk to me, they can text me or call me. I don't want somebody to be putting something on my Facebook and then they ask me 2 hours later, you know, hey, how come you didn't reply? And I'm like, because I was out of my house or I was not home and I don't have my laptop attached to me 24/7. You know, I enjoy that freedom. So I agree with you.
Now, I think that's what's so wonderful about the holiday season is even though everybody still has their technological devices or tech items, however you want to call it, around the holidays, people, at least somewhat, come together as family or friends and try to focus on face-to-face interaction more so than we do maybe most times of the year. I asked you about your favorite Hanukkah memory from childhood. What is your favorite Hanukkah tradition now as a man?
Honestly, I'm a divorced single guy and I have no kids. So realistically, I don't really do much of anything. You know, I say a prayer. I'll talk to, you know, several other friends of mine, you know, who are Jewish or whatever. And if somebody invites me over for dinner, I'll go over for dinner. Otherwise, I'll just be home. Actually, I don't even know what day it is this year. Let's see, because you're going to make me wonder now. Sunday, December 22nd, Hanukkah starts and it ends on the 30th. So let's see. I should be home for the beginning of it, but I'm actually flying to the East Coast on Christmas Day, and I start a movie on the 26th. So 4 days of 3 days of Hanukkah, I won't be doing anything. 22, 23, 24, and the 25th through the 30th, I'll be flying and working. So there you go.
Maybe it will come full circle this year and you can somehow find a way to spend at least part of Hanukkah playing some serious pinball.
You know, that would be fun. Man, I haven't done that in a while. I truly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the interaction that I had with other people. You know, the other people that were in the arcade with me. I used to play at the 52nd Street Arcade on Broadway, and then I played at the 42nd Street Arcade in Broadway. And met a lot of fun people. You know, I haven't stayed friendly with them. Back then, of course, no cell phones, no emails, none of that. And we're talking, you know, close to 40 years ago. You know, you're talking 78 to 18. Yeah, 78 to 79. Yeah, just about 40 years ago. You know, 35 to 40 years ago. Those people are long gone. I have no idea where they are, but I hope they're doing well because they were fun people.
Scott Schwartz, thank you so much for being a part of the Chad Silveus Show. I hope that you're blessed over Hanukkah and the entire holiday season.
You got it, Chad. Happy holidays to everyone.
My beautiful wife, Faith, welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chad.
I know this is a dream come true for you. I know you're waiting a long time for this magic moment. Out of all the years we've been together, which has been a lot, what is your favorite Silveus family Christmas memory?
Well, I have a lot of great Christmas memories, obviously. Like you said, we've been together since I was 17 years old, and that's been a long time. So there are a couple that really stand out to me. One was Violet's first Christmas. So it was our first Christmas with the four of us. Nilsson was 12. And Violet was not even 6 months old, and I just remember that Christmas morning was just magical. So I really enjoyed that Christmas morning. I also really enjoyed one Christmas morning when, and I don't remember what year it was, but Nilsson was younger, and we woke up on Christmas morning. We were opening gifts. Santa had come. Everything was magical, and I believe it was the year of the ladybug tent, if you recall that. And then we looked out the window and realized like we were snowed in, and I remember having to have somebody plow the way for us to get to our other family, extended family's house for Christmas get-togethers. So those were two of my favorites.
Well, those are some good memories. I've got a lot too, but the best part about it is that we'll have many more Christmas memories together. Speaking of two people who are happily married, getting ready to join me on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special is the YouTube sensation and music duo Out of the Dust. Merry Christmas, Chris and Stephanie.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Now, I want to ask you guys a couple questions. You know, it's the holiday season, and There's a lot of things, that people feel and experience during the holidays, some good, some bad. But, I like to focus on, the happy memories, the happy thoughts when it comes to the holiday season. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys have a favorite Christmas memory or tradition even that you guys have in your hearts that were really important to you around the Christmas season?
Yeah.
We love Christmas.
Something immediately came to mind. We really do love Christmas. And for me, so my grandmother always made this drink called boiled custard.
Or boiled custard,
you don't really
we say in the South.
You don't say boiled. If you say boiled, people gag because that sounds gross. But boiled custard, that's just kind of how you say it. And my grandmother made it. It's really finicky to make, but she kind of passed on the recipe to me, and sadly she passed last year. So definitely understand some of those harder seasons for people, harder holidays. But one of the beautifully redemptive things is that now I get to make that and share it with the family. So that's definitely mine.
What about you, Stephanie?
Gosh, so many. The first thing that pops in my head as far as the past would be, I grew up pretty incredible family. My parents, they've been married 40 years this year, and every year at Christmas, we had this terrible looking artificial tree, and it's the kind that each limb had to be put on. So it was real classy. But I can remember every year we'd play this Christmas music from the 80s. It was all this old Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith, and it was stuff that I still have to listen to every year because of that.
Wonderful counselor.
Yeah. But every year my brother and I, we would basically race to find the right color limb, because the end of the limb was color coordinated to how to put the tree together. But we just had so much fun singing our hearts out to the music and putting the tree together every
Chris,
year.
you can keep singing Michael W. Smith if you want.
He was that was probably my biggest influence when I was growing up. His album, The First Decade. Oh my goodness, I would keep. I could sing
maybe
deep cuts all day.
Well, and I spent almost an entire year of my life when I was a little kid listening to the cassette of Amy Grant's, the original Christmas album with Tennessee Christmas on it.
Chad, year round, she would listen.
Oh, I listened to it for
round.
a year.
I understand. In my household, literally, I have to fight with my wife and my children to not watch Christmas stuff all year round. It's a battle. But both of those are great artists. I love them both. I love them both, and I did when I was younger too. When it comes to Christmas. Okay, here's the big question. There's so many people, because I was going to say Stephanie or Chris, maybe, who knows, Santa Claus will bring you an Amy Grant cassette tape or Michael W. Smith cassette tape to relive the memories. But, there's so many things that come up around Christmas. It means different things to them. What does Christmas mean to you guys?
Well, I have a mentor who I've walked through life with for probably 10 or 12 years. And one of my favorite lessons, I guess, just about Christmas and one of the biggest revelations that I had about Christmas and what it really means is, and we talk about this a lot, but, God humbling himself, the God of all the universe. There's a word, condescension. And when we think of being condescending, we usually have this negative sense, but in the truest sense, God condescended and it was beautiful and it was purposeful and he planned it from the start. But there was almost this lessening of himself. God limited himself to come and be with his people. There's no other story like that in any other religion where God comes to be with his people to rescue them. And I think that's so compelling. I'll never escape that.
That's beautiful. Well said. I think there's a sermon there somewhere. What about you, Stephanie? What does Christmas mean to you?
I think just aside from, just the beauty of what it's all about, I think for us, we love Christmas so much because we just love being with our family, and even our little family of 4. Now, having kids, and you would know this, having kids and going through Christmas now makes it all the much more magical.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fun. So living around Nashville, there's so many great things. We pack in as many Christmas things as we can every year. So there's the Opryland Hotel is beautiful, and we go there every year. It's completely decked out with millions of lights. What else do? We go to, there's this thing called the Dancing Lights of Christmas. You drive, it's like 3 miles of animated lights to Christmas music. Doing Advent, we've done a couple different types of Advent activities with our kids, which is so sweet, just to always call back to the whole purpose of what we're doing at Christmas time. But yeah, we just can't get our hands on enough.
Now, you being in Nashville, you're very close to my favorite place in the world, the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area. So you can go see Dolly, the Christmas parade.
Oh, yeah.
They got the big Christmas store there. Tell me you guys go there.
I've never been there at Christmas. I've never been there at Christmas, but I've been there loads of times throughout my life, because we're the rare breed of musicians who are actually from Nashville and still live here. So it's been a part of our lives growing up.
Maybe we can do a Teague Silveus family getaway to Pigeon Forge.
I'm there. My wife, every second. If you can find an excuse to go to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, do it. Well, I found one, so we'll make arrangements. Before I say goodbye, I want you guys to sing a Christmas song.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. We've got our own little version of a Christmas song that we both love. The song "O Come, O Come, Emmanuel" has always been an interesting one to us, and so we have our own little spin on the song that we'll do for you. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, 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 Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
Oh, come, my day spring from on high, and cheer us by your drawing nigh. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight.
Oh, come, desire of nations, bide in one the hearts of all mankind. Oh, bid our sad division cease, and be yourself our King of peace. Rejoice, 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 Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Thank you.
You know, every Christmas Eve, we have the Silveus family tradition of watching that Rankin Bass cartoon, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Yeah?
That's a favorite thing for us all to do. Well, Zak Nilsson's getting ready to join me on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special. And if we're lucky, maybe I can get him to read us the poem, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Zak Nilsson, welcome to the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Oh, you're a great friend of the show. I love having you on. Of course, your father's Harry Nilsson. In my opinion, one of the greatest singers who ever lived. Yeah, I've not made that a secret. My first question, I'm going to ask you about your dad in Christmas. Your dad, like I said, is like one of the best singers who ever lived. Did he ever sing you Christmas carols?
Not me personally. I can't speak for the other kids, but I know he did like Christmas. He contributed some songs to a Christmas album at one point. I know he enjoyed it.
You know, Christmas is a special time for everybody. There's some sort of magical connection between Christmas and childhood. But what is your favorite Christmas movies or like TV specials?
I always liked the Peanuts one. When I was growing up with my mom, we always celebrated Christmas, and we had the tree and all the good stuff like that. And there was always a fire in the fireplace, that sort of thing. And looking back on it, I really enjoyed that, actually.
You know, there's so many things about Christmas that's wonderful and magical. TV is just a small part of it. But I think Charlie Brown Christmas is a favorite to almost everybody. Let me ask you this. Since you're such a fan of music, I'm going to tell you what my favorite Christmas special of all time is. And I don't know if you're aware of it because a lot of people aren't. But my favorite, hands down, Christmas special of all time was Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and it had a lot of music in it. Have you ever seen that?
I know of it. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I'm sort of familiar with what it is. I keep seeing references to it every year.
Well, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor and watch it this year. It is the best Christmas special, and the music's just unbelievable. You know, every time we talk, I like to do a segment of my show called One Question with Violet. How about a special Christmas version? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, give me one moment. I'll be right back. All right, Zak, special Christmas version of One Question with Violet.
What do you want for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas? That's a good question. I would like everybody to get along. That's a tough one for sure. But honestly, in the spirit of Christmas, there's been a lot of strife and unhappiness in the world recently, it seems like. And it would really be nice if we could have the pressure lifted off a little bit, you know? That's honestly something I would really enjoy for Christmas.
Well, I think that's a selfless gift, and I think it's a gift that we definitely need. This is a very conflicted time, a very divisive time, and that would be great. Now, one of the Christmas traditions that we have in our household is on Christmas Eve. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's a Rankin Bass cartoon version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And that's one of the things we watch right before bed, before we lay down to go to sleep on Christmas Eve. I've always been a fan of listening to your dad talk, and I'm a big fan of listening to you talk. Would you mind reading 'Twas the Night Before Christmas poem for us?
Sure, yeah. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my hand and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed in all fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. And a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled! His dimples, how merry! His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Zak Nilsson, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks again.
Absolutely, anytime. This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Violet, what does Christmas mean to you?
To me it means spending time with your family and a time for giving and not forgetting.
You're so sweet. You know what, Violet? You're the best gift I have ever gotten. Violet, one of my favorite guests I've ever interviewed before in the past is a man named Alexander Folk. He's one of the stars of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is once again a classic Christmas film. And he is the coolest guy. I really like him. I bond with him. He's awesome. So let's check in with him and see how his Christmas season's going. Alexander Folk, thank you for coming on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas Special.
Christmas time, I love this. This is one of my favorite times of the year, really.
Well, of course, you know, you being one of the stars of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the iconic Christmas film, I'm sure Christmas is special to you for more than just the reason of Christmas being special, because it's, we celebrate the birth of Jesus, we give gifts, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I tell all my guests on my show, when we talk about Christmas, as a child, Christmas is so magical. When you were a child and you got a Christmas gift or Christmas gifts, what was your favorite gift you ever got for Christmas as a child?
Do you know a tricycle comes to mind? Because I think my first tricycle, I had 3 brothers, I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and that tricycle for some reason stands out in my mind. I jumped on, I don't know, I could have been 4 or something, but I still remember that tricycle. I jumped on it and I just wanted to ride through I still feel it. That is so funny. I'm glad you asked me that. It just brings back the spirit of Christmas, because I remember this particular Christmas. I got up and we would always, as children, my mom and dad I would always wake up, we would always wake up to Bing Crosby's White Christmas playing. And I went in the room and I found out this tricycle was mine. I could not wait to have breakfast and get dressed and get out and ride that tricycle. I still remember it. That is one of my fond memories of Christmas, my first tricycle.
Do you have another fond memory or favorite memory of yours around Christmas time that has nothing to do with getting a gift?
I think I got to kind of go back to that Bing Crosby, waking up to Bing Crosby, because I did a commercial in Georgia. They flew me to Georgia to do a commercial, and we were filming in a record store. And I found this Bing Crosby album called White Christmas, and I had not seen that album. This was like 5 years ago when I did a commercial in Georgia, and I hadn't seen that Bing Crosby Christmas album probably since I was 20 years old. It was probably 50 years ago, and I saw that album, and I told the people in the record store about it, and they gave it to me, and I still have it. So I think that waking up to Bing Crosby's White Christmas, and I got that album 50 years later. Excuse. Oh man, I got a little choked up there. Just remembering that White Christmas album, and I'm looking. I see it across the room now, and it brought back the memories of my mom. You know, they're passed away now, but just remembering that, I remember that fondly right now, and that's that White Christmas. That has to be it. Waking up to that White Christmas and getting that album 50 years later. That's just me.
I understand what you're saying about that album, and obviously there's this emotional connection with your family that, you know, it just moves you. But I understand what you're saying about the album. It is my favorite Christmas album, and not only that, now last time you were on my show, Alexander, you met my 9-year-old beautiful little daughter, Violet.
Yes, I remember. Yes.
That is Violet's favorite Christmas album. Every year she asks me, when are we going to listen to Bing Crosby? And I've got it on vinyl, and I put it on the record player every year, and she loves it.
Yes, see, now that gives me pleasure to know she's getting pleasure from the same album I got pleasure with. Oh, man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful, Chad. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, man. I'm okay. I'm getting a little choked up here, Chad. Come on, man. You know, I love it, man. I love it.
Well, Christmas is a time of year where, we feel that emotion. You feel Christmas. Christmas is not something that you just experience. It's something that you feel deep inside of you.
Yes.
This leads me to my last question. Alexander Folk, what does Christmas mean to you?
Jesus, Lord, the Lord, He's been so good to me, and it means celebrating His birthday. I gotta say, in 2010, I had 2 strokes in a 5-month period, and my second stroke paralyzed me, and I was in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. And now, the thought of it, man, is amazing. I was healed. The Lord healed me from a wheelchair. I'm walking, I'm running, I'm hiking, I'm doing it all now from a wheelchair. And in 2010, I was paralyzed and could not walk. And now I'm walking probably better than at 73. Well, not quite as good as I was when I was 16 walking, but I'm up running and walking. I walk at the mall probably 3 miles every morning, and it's from a wheelchair. And Christmas to me is thanking my Lord for healing me from a wheelchair. That's what it means to me, thanking Him every day. And on Christmas, it's just it reminds me of how blessed I am and what the Lord has done for me. It's just so special. It is amazing. That's what Christmas means to me. It has nothing to do with buying me a gift or going out to the mall. And no, it's about what God has done for me. That's what it means for me.
God is so good. And Alexander, let me tell you something. Once again, there's so much we talk about that I can relate to. I have come back with the grace of God, by the grace of God, from some serious health issues. I became chronically ill about 8 years ago after taking an antibiotic called Cipro. It destroyed my life and my health. And I'm not going to go into all the things that happened to me, but one thing that happened to me I wanted to share with you, Alexander, is that I lost my voice for 2 years. I could not speak for 2 years.
Really?
And this is a guy who had been in radio for a long time. And I couldn't communicate with my loved ones, my wife, my children. I was this close to learning sign language.
Wow.
Everything I had to do, I had to write on a piece of paper, and God delivered me. But let me tell you, I was delivered through another accident. I actually fell and fractured my hip. I was so sick, and I fell and fractured my hip. I had to have emergency surgery, and I've got tons of metal from my hip down to my leg. It was a gnarly accident. During that recovery, and I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, and I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to walk normally again without a walker, and I was terrified. And then God delivered me from that. Not only do I walk better now, like you're saying, I walk great, but my voice came back in the healing during the process of me recovering from that hip fracture. So God is good, right? God is good.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I know what you're talking about, man. And until people have been there, Chad, they don't know how thankful we really are. They don't know until you've been there. And we were there. We were both there. And I tell you, it is so amazing. So that is what Christmas means to me. I mean, what my God has done, what our God has done, but he treats us so well. It's like he's our personal God. It's so amazing. Absolutely amazing. What happened when I was in that wheelchair? When I had 2 strokes and my second stroke put me in a wheelchair and I couldn't walk. What happened? I did not concentrate on what had been taken from me. My legs had been taken from me, but I didn't concentrate on that. I thanked the Lord. I said, Lord, if you want me in a wheelchair, thank you for allowing me to be in the movie business 50 years before the wheelchair. And if you want me in a wheelchair, thank you, Jesus, for allowing me to go to 40 countries in the world before the wheelchair. So if you want me in a wheelchair, thank you, Jesus. I mean, I did not concentrate on the fact that my legs had been taken, because people will concentrate on what had been taken from them, but they don't realize God has to give it to you first before he can take it. And we just a lot of times talk about what has been taken and not with one thought of how many years you were given that. And I just thanked him for my wheelchair because of what he gave me before the wheelchair. And about maybe 10 weeks later, or a couple of months later, the Lord said, take up your bed and walk. Get up and walk. I mean, go travel some more. Now I've driven across country twice since my wheelchair, and I'm about to go to London. I'm still traveling because he healed me from a wheelchair, and I'm so thankful. I can't stop thanking him.
I know that, not only do I appreciate life and health, just the simple things in life so much more after getting sick 8 years ago, but when I was at my sickest point, my worst point, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't know how I was going to go on. I don't know how I was going to make it. And I knew this man, this little Pentecostal man, and when I didn't know who else to talk to, I would call him and just, I'd just cry on the phone, and he'd pray with me. And he said something that changed my life, Alexander. He said, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how much you feel you can't handle it, and he says, whatever you do, don't stop praising God. And that changed my life.
Yes, exactly. I know what you mean.
And when I fell and I fractured my hip, like I was just talking about a few minutes ago, and I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to walk normally again, or be able to exercise, or even lift my child, or do anything like that, I just kept praising God every day for what I had and what He'd given me. And every day, it changes everything.
Yes, it does. It really does. It's like I said, when I was in the wheelchair, I didn't concentrate on the fact that my legs had been taken. I thanked Him. I praised Him for what He had done before my legs. And I was ready to stay in that wheelchair forever as long as He wanted. I'm healed. It's so amazing. I mean, He's good. Like you said, never stop praising it. Because no matter how bad it gets, you just can't stop praising.
You're right. This is what Christmas is all about. It's about Jesus. It's about God, about how much He loves us, that He sent His Son to save us. Alexander, folk, I want to tell you right now, I know we've not known each other very long, but I tell you, man, I love you, brother. I feel a connection with you.
I love you too, man. Yes, absolutely, man. I love you, man. I mean, definitely. Because we got more in common than I'd ever imagined. you know?
Well, it's funny how life works out, and it all comes back to simple things, and there's nothing more straightforward and simple than the love of God, and that was, with Christ being born. That's what Chris is about. Alexander Folk, I love having you on my show. Thank you so much for coming on the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special. I want to tell you Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Same to you. Same to you. God bless you. Love you.
Well, you know what, Violet? I want to talk to you about the true meaning of Christmas. What's the true meaning of Christmas, Violet Noel?
It's the birth of Jesus Christ on earth.
Yes, it's about when Jesus was born. A lot of times we lose sight of the true meaning of Christmas. So if you don't mind, Daddy's going to read you something that will give us a better understanding of what the actual true meaning of Christmas is. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That night there were shepherds staying in the fields nearby, guarding their flocks of sheep. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared among them, and the radiance of the Lord's glory surrounded them. They were terrified, but the angel reassured them. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I bring you good news that will bring great joy to all people. The Savior, yes, the Messiah, the Lord, has been born today in Bethlehem, the city of David. And you will recognize him by this sign. You will find a baby wrapped snugly in strips of cloth, lying in a manger." Suddenly, the angel was joined by a vast host of others, the armies of heaven, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in highest heaven, and peace on earth to those with whom God is pleased." When the angels had returned to heaven, the shepherds said to each other, "Let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." They hurried to the village and found Mary and Joseph, and there was the baby lying in the manger. After seeing him, the shepherds told everyone what had happened and what the angel had said to them about this child. All who heard the shepherd's story were astonished, but Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. The shepherds went back to their flocks, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen. It was just as the angel had told them. I want to thank all my guests that made the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special so wonderful, including my wife Faith and my daughter Violet. I also want to thank all my listeners and wish all my listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But I couldn't close out the Chad Silveus Show Christmas special without asking, Violet, will you please sing a song, a Christmas song, to close out my Christmas special?
Of course. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Merry Christmas, Violet. Daddy loves you.
I love you too.